Let's. This is something that comes up, and it's one of my favorite things. I know it's one of your favorite things. It's the Shadowfell, which can encapsulate a lot. But the Shadowfell, this notion that there is always a darker world, has been in D&D for a long time.
Yeah.
It's kind of just been in mythology for a long time as well. That there is a darker mirror to the world.
Yes.
And we see this in Stranger Things. They call it the Upside Down. There was Tales from the Dark Side. It was something that terrified me as a kid, that you can just slip out
Yes.
of our reality into a darker one.
Yeah, in effect, it's sort of like a demi-monde, where the darkest aspects of our psyche sort of get sucked into, and sort of, it's a place of fear and dread, or a place of gloom and despair. But it's sort of, it sort of takes us, when you stay in it too long, it has, profound psychological consequences.
It's about repetition, right?
It can be. It can be about doldrums. It can be about projections of grief. We in fifth edition say that the domains of dread, places where dark lords dwell, are basically pockets of the Shadowfell. That there are entities, sort of dark and shapeless, who are creating these spaces, trapping creatures in them, almost like prisons to perpetuate their own misery, so that they can, delight in the suffering of these creatures? Unclear. It's just, like you say, it's a sinister reflection of the world. It's a place where hopelessness has taken root, and for that reason, I think it's a wonderful place to visit in a series or in a campaign, but you have to find ways to make the players, get into it and not be turned off by it.
Yeah, it's the darkest of D&D.
Yeah, and like you say, it has been around since the beginning of D&D. It has not always been called the Shadowfell. That name wasn't introduced until 4th edition, but it used to be called the Plane of Shadow.
Right.
And it is often a place where undead tend to gravitate, because death and despair are all sort of tangled up with each other. We've introduced mythology to the Shadowfell to kind of add texture to it, like this, the Raven Queen, for instance, a very popular deity that sort of emerged in 4th edition, that gained popularity, of course, with Critical Role. She resides there, and there are cities there that are sort of almost like dark city reflections of actual places in the worlds of D&D.
Right.
There's like a Shadowfell counterpart to Waterdeep, and there's a Shadowfell counterpart to the city of Greyhawk, and that kind of thing.
That's the thing I've always loved, and it's something I like to imagine. Like, what does this tower look like in the Shadowfell? Mm-hmm. What does the city look like?
Yeah.
It's a fun kind of imagination exercise for a
DM.
DM.
One of the fun things I enjoyed working on during 4th edition was sort of creating a Shadowfell city with the city of Gloomrot. We haven't done any.
Good name.
We haven't done anything with Gloomrot in a while, but it's a lovely sort of Gothic-y, Victorian-esque kind of domain.
It sounds, because you do have Ravenloft, but Ravenloft has its own set of rules and barriers.
Yes.
And there's always a domain lord, but I like the outside the Shadowfell. I like the idea of just not free form, but a more free Shadowfell.
Yeah. Yes. One without misty borders, where you can just sort of move from place to place.
Oh God, Gloomrot. That's. I need to know more about Gloomrot now.
There was an entire product dedicated to fleshing out Gloomrot in 4th edition, so go hunting.
Yeah, I will be on DM's Guild very soon. Yeah. So what do you enjoy about all that type of horror? I know we've talked about that, but there is something just... I just grew up with Hammer horror films.
Yeah.
It really itches that scratch. Itches that scratch? Scratches that itch.
Well, I mean, there is certainly with the Hammer stuff and sort of the Victorian Gothic horror, there's a bit of a romance to it. It's seductive in kind of a bleak way. There's also an inherent beauty about it.
Yeah. Because life is more important. And like the happy moments become more important.
Yes. It's not about the blood and guts. It's about just looking in the mirror at yourself, at society, and realizing just how everything is just a veneer. And once you get through that veneer, you realize just how awful people are and how bad things are. That world allows you to sort of explore that concept of looking past the masks that we all wear, and realizing just how awful base desires can be, and, you know, absent rules of society and civility, just how degenerate things can get. I think that that's got some allure to it. To sort of, it's a way of looking at ourselves through a lens, and there's a relatability. Ultimately, you come to an understanding of what it means to be self-aware and to have power, and what that can do. That's very deep, of course, but I think that sort of starts to get a little bit, scratch a little bit at what's really kind of the appeal of that sort of setting. But at the same time, I think in order to make it bearable, you have to have other things there too. Flickers of light, flickers of happiness, flickers of beauty and joy, even if they're fleeting. They sort of offset or serve as a counterpoint to the perpetual hideousness of of the environment.
Yeah, the lights are brighter when they're around.
Yes, and that's why it's important in a D&D context to remember the heroes are heroes. They are kind of bringing light to the darkness and could in fact affect change there.
The other thing I like about the Shadowfell, and this is referenced in the Feywild as well, is that time can move differently there. So if you are the Shadowfell and you come back to prime material plane, the real world, maybe 20 years went by, maybe.
Yes, that is a perfectly cool thing to play with if you're a dungeon master.
Yeah, I misuse that all the time. I'm always like 1,000 years later, and everyone's like, "What?"
Yes.
So
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've talked before about, you know, while the Shadowfell is sort of the grim, gloomy reflection of the world, the Feywild is sort of the hyper energetic, lively, vivacious, emotional reflection of our world.
And I would argue more dangerous.
They are both dangerous in kind of different ways.
Yeah. I feel like you could hide out in the Shadowfell for some time, but the Feywild will find you.
The unpredictability of the Fey can be just as traumatizing as the doom and gloom of the Shadowfell.
Yeah, anyone who's watched The Labyrinth,
Yes.
And someone
yes,
wants
that's
to
a
take your
fine
head
example.
off for fun.
Exactly. Yes. David Bowie is a menace in that film.
If you liked this interview and you'd like to see more, go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that little bell symbol so you're notified anytime a video like this comes out. Thank you so much for watching.